I'm Nick Uhas, and be prepared to be blown away. That's so great. All right, so let's dive on in, dude. How's my hair look, by the way? Yeah, sick. Okay, cool.
Good to go.
Hey, by the way, this is the outfit that I wore for season 1 on, I think it was season 1, day 1.
I'm kind of shocked that that's not in the Smithsonian, like on a mannequin.
Dude, honestly,
you would think that they would preserve it.
At one point in time, there will be. I hosted Blown Away for seasons 1, 2, and 3. Season 4, I did not. And so I kind of honestly thought, I was like, oh, like no one, it's just gonna, who cares, right? Like, we're gonna go on. And then we were just kind of like Googling around, trying to find some intro dialogue to do a glass video, and stumbled upon a Reddit thread, and like, people are like really curious. Like, they're like, what happened to Nick Uhas Blown Away season 4? So we're dedicating this whole episode to literally walking through the entire, like all the seasons, how it all went, and why I'm not hosting season 4, which is it's like, it's actually pretty surprising, but not surprising once I tell you how the whole thing went down. So yeah, man, let's just get into it.
You started in 2018.
Correct.
So what was the process like?
2017, 2018, we're starting to do really good work on YouTube. So one of these brand deals, we were going to send this like kids toy to the edge of outer space. So the day that I get back from this crazy epic long 24-hour shoot, I haven't slept I haven't slept all day long, 24 hours. So I come back and I fall asleep. And it's probably like 8 a.m., but delirious, right?
Yeah.
So somewhere like around 2 p.m., Jeanne, my girlfriend at the time, she wakes me up and she says, you got it. You got it. And I was like so delirious. I was so messed up.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, yeah, like we got the ice cream. You know what I mean? I was like, on the YouTube video. I was like, of course, like the footage is so good. Like, yes, we got the footage. And she was like, no, like you got the Netflix thing. And I was just like,
yeah, that's awesome. That's like, so exciting.
Dude. And like, just for frame of reference, this was also at a time where like there were not a lot of other streaming competitors. Like there've always been streaming competitors, but this was like Netflix's like heyday.
They were like peaking.
So this was like peak career.
Like a lot of stuff. Yeah.
This was something that was like extremely like life-changing for me as far as career-wise. Totally. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like shocked.
Yeah.
So like I like fell back asleep, but like so happy.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was stunned. So
awesome.
Then I'm getting all this information, and it went really quick, right? So this was like September, and we were gonna start shooting season 1 October.
Oh,
like
wow.
Middle October.
Oh, crazy.
So they were like ready, like they're like, dude, you're the guy, like you gotta get on set.
Where is it? Like, where is it filmed?
So it's just south of Toronto.
Okay.
It's in Hamilton, Ontario.
Okay, cool.
And so Hamilton is like the steel town. It's very similar to Northern Ohio.
Okay, yeah, nice.
Like Cleveland, Toledo, Pittsburgh, steel towns. It's very industrial. Fun fact, the opening scene, by the way, when the drone flies over the smokestack, that is not the hot shop. The hot shop is actually tucked away.
These are the Easter eggs.
Yeah. The hot shop is actually tucked away like in that same complex, but the thing that it's actually flying over is kind of more like a WeWork.
Okay.
It's this like collective sort of like fun digital space.
Oh, nice.
Because it looks a lot prettier.
Yeah.
The actual like,
makes sense.
The actual hot shop,
That's
the
really
exterior is so ugly.
That's hilarious.
It's nasty.
That's very funny.
Because it's in a real industrial like part of town.
Yeah.
You can like smell the sulfur from like the coal burning plants.
Damn.
Yeah. So I basically like I fly. Dude, I have just never been more excited in my life.
That's
like,
awesome.
It just really felt like things were coalescing. Like the YouTube stuff is going well. This is going to like help with all of that.
Yeah.
I also felt like I was really prepared. Meaning like I was a contestant on Big Brother, AGT. I had a lot of, as an experience, I observed how reality TV comes together, what it's like on the receiving side as far as the contestants.
Yeah.
And I felt very confident that I'd be able to offer a lot as far as like the person who would be able to craft a good storyline, but also someone who could like dictate good questions to ask and like things to do.
You had your host experience also.
Correct.
You had expertise in that regard.
Yeah, so like I had never done this job.
Yeah.
Like right full on. Like I'd never hosted a reality TV show, but I felt like I had all the accolades to
do that. Yeah,
right.
definitely.
And like I'd also hosted live TV.
Yeah.
So like the pressure of getting it right when everyone's filming you.
Definitely.
I had done that. I had done that on the Today Show a bunch.
Yeah.
And so I was like, dude, I literally have done everything. I just connect the dots and I've done it.
Yeah.
So I remember the first day on set, so nervous, bro. Like sweating through the shirts, like was like stuffing paper towels in my armpits. Like it was, dude, I was like so nervous because I just felt like this was like such a pinnacle thing. And so I really wanted to perform. I really wanted to do well.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, the director, Ron, he had actually asked me to, we weren't sure yet if we were going to do like teleprompter.
Yeah.
Or if it was going to be like, if I was just going to do it off of memory
or
whatever. So I was like, well, I'm going to be prepared.
Yeah.
So I memorized the first.
And you learned
script.
that from that the situation we talked about.
What?
I think it was in the first or second episode that we did. When you came fully memorized to the audition.
Oh yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Same
yeah.
situation. Like
Yes.
and then it ended up that
So
the
this-
teleprompter was broken
Yes.
and you were
Yes.
prepared.
By the way, this will be in an episode they haven't seen yet.
Yes,
but
yes.
in a future episode, you will also understand the importance of being ultra prepared and memorizing things if you have to.
Through line. There's a cohesive
yes.
point to the story.
So like I literally spent, but the thing about memorization is if you memorize it too much,
Yeah.
it becomes too stiff.
Yeah.
Because then you can't adjust. So if someone asks you to change one word,
You're gonna
it's
have a hard time.
really hard.
Yeah, definitely.
So you have to find this happy medium. So I did, and I practiced in the room a lot, and I did my stand-ups and whatever. So when they asked me to do it, I felt very good about it. And like I look back at it now, and I'm like, okay, like yeah, like kind of like standy uppy hosty, like.
Yeah.
But that was the style that we were going for because originally this was supposed to be for Canadian television.
Yeah.
So the concept, so it's a Canadian production company, and I don't know the exact metrics of this deal, but essentially, like, it was supposed to be on Canadian television, this channel called Makeful, which is kind of like our HGTV in America. And then it was going to get then, like, recut and then put on Netflix.
Okay.
And I don't really know the inner workings of that, but it sounded kind of like maybe that Netflix wanted to see how it would do, or maybe the focus was Netflix and the funding came from, or some kind of... I don't really know, to be honest.
Okay.
I just know that it changed the way production went because my then basis was more or less like how a TV show operates.
Yeah.
Which was stand-ups, because a TV show has to operate in 22 minutes, where streaming can go a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So like I did it kind of like a traditional hosting, like set it up, say the lines, make them really truncated.
It was very precise because of that limit in like, real TV.
You can't talk like you do on a podcast, right?
Yeah,
because
definitely.
you have to basically do it in sound bites in order for the editor to find where he can cut so that they can manage to put the whole thing together. Otherwise, it's going to be like, it's going to cut so weird.
Yeah.
And so there was a little bit of like producing on set, which it was the first season. So like everyone was trying to figure it out at all points in time. Like the director, like the DP, like everyone, it's the first time
stuff.
for everyone.
Yeah.
Fun story too.
Yeah.
The first day, the hot shop almost burned down.
Oh my God.
Like literally.
Really?
So they'd never had 10 glory holes, real name, in the actual hot shop at once. So they didn't know like if the structure could handle that heat. And it was October, but it was like sort of like a hot, they call it Indian summer, right?
Yeah,
so it's really hot in the end. And it got to the point to where it was like, it was so hot inside that when you would touch the metal, it would like almost, it would like sting.
Oh.
And one of the camera guys, the camera was so hot, like it like hit the side of his face and it like first degree burned him or something like that. It was getting crazy. And
That's crazy.
Cameras were shutting down.
Wait, so what do they do? Like, how do they fix that?
So the ceiling was really high, right? So essentially what they did is they use, in production, like you peg in a bunch of safety days.
Yeah.
And so they pegged in proper amount of safety days and then they used them all at the top. So essentially like the first week, we kind of like, we're all on standby.
Okay, nice.
And they essentially like vented the ceiling much more so they could handle the heat rising.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But the ceiling actually, at one point in time, the tar on the ceiling was falling. It was drooping.
How hot is liquid glass?
Oh gosh, I know you're gonna ask. It's like 2100 degrees, I believe.
Okay, yeah, because just for reference, like that's a crazy heat coming from.
So this is saying 1900.
Okay.
But there's a
very hot.
Yeah, there's a very specific temperature that gets like in Corning, right?
Yeah.
Like in Corning, New York, like they have like cafes named after them.
Oh, that's funny.
They're like the name of the I can't remember, but
yeah,
it's like really like 1900 roughly speaking.
Okay.
It's
very
it's hot.
Yeah, that's like just a frame of reference.
But there is some slight variation there depending on like what's in the glass. Also, what type of glass you're melting. They're all soda lime glass, but like sometimes like the if it's I'm gonna screw up these names, but like I don't think it's called curd, but it's like if it's mashed up glass that's already been melted once, or if you're like melting it from the beginning.
That's like a different temperature.
Yeah, someone out there in glass world is going to be like, no, you're wrong. And like, just let me know. But I'm pretty like, to my understanding, like it's around 2,000 degrees.
So they had those safety days right at the top, and then you got into season 1 and you were like feeling good, like everything felt like it was making sense. And
after like, honestly, it was such a cool sensation. Like in my life, like I will definitely die being like, that was one of the coolest days ever.
That's sweet.
And it was wrapping on the first day.
Damn.
So wrapping on the first day, I was like, I did it. Like we put an episode away. And I was like, well, they're all going to be easier from here.
Yeah.
Because the first day was all going to be set up. It's going to be a lot of like me talking and like doing a lot of that stuff. And so I felt in a way like no one asked me to do it, but like I felt like I had to lead the episode because no one else on the floor had as much experience either in front of camera or in reality TV than I did at that point in time.
With your experience on Big Brother in those like first couple episodes in that first season, were there like connections you were making or like differences from your experience that you were like surprised about or just in general like thought were interesting?
I thought empathy was at an all-time high.
That's awesome, right?
Yeah, because when you're a contestant, it is so different than when you're the host. So when you're the host, you're like, I just want to do a good job so that we can make this a great episode. When you're a contestant, you're solely focused on winning. Yeah. And so, but I was a contestant at one point in time, so I remember I just want to win.
Yeah, because that's what I'm curious about. Like, was there anything that you were surprised, like the way that it functioned, or did it make sense to you? Because like their competition's obviously different than like Big Brother or something like you would watch for like a full length, just like the time intensiveness. But I guess like, was it interesting watching them sort of like create art?
Yes.
And like that like subjective sort of nature?
First season we were really trying to piece it all together. So we didn't know if like I was going to walk the floor and I was going to walk with Catherine Gray. Yeah. Or if it was just going to be Catherine Gray. So we actually shot both.
Oh, cool.
So there was like a time where we were like kind of like doing sort of each other's roles.
Oh, nice.
But ultimately it made more sense because I would be reactive to it, but I would be like very curious and I wouldn't know because I'd never been around glass really. Yeah. And so, but it just made more sense for the time for her to just be very pinpoint and be like, hey, like, you know, did you think about this? Because she's an expert. Versus me being like, hey, I don't know anything. Like, I'm going to bother you while you're making your glass.
So when you first got there, like, were you wearing your own clothes? Did they give you a wardrobe? Like, what was that? What was the situation there?
Awesome question, because I am not like a stylist, right? Yeah. I'm like, I dress like for science.
Yes.
Which is like...
You dress for science.
Which is like t-shirts with paint on them, because you know you're going to mess them up.
Yeah.
So I remember they asked if I had anything, and I showed them options, and they were like, no, don't bring that.
That's so... They're like, actually, no.
Yeah. And so my handler, like the guy who you're with all the time, his name was Clay. And Clay, like, we bonded like immediately. And then the wardrobe stylist, he eventually became the stylist, which was really cool.
Oh, that is cool.
But what was really cool too is that we really like, we all bonded together, like the whole crew, like everybody came together. It was such a neat experience. But to get back to your question, so the wardrobe was a part of my contract. Yeah. So they were like, hey, we're going to buy this for you, but we're not going to take it back because you've like sweated in it. You know what I mean? And I was like, sweet.
A lot of sweat.
Because
of the heat in that.
And I was nervous. So the thing about it is that they weren't going to take the wardrobe back. So they were just going to give it to me. But what looks good on camera feels very uncomfortable to wear throughout the regular day. So like on camera, you wear smalls. I wear small. Yeah. You always wear what's more form fitting. Yeah. I normally wear a medium. because it's like it just feels better.
Yeah. You want to wear something comfortable.
But on camera, like everything's got to be like real tight.
Yeah.
So like I have a bunch of clothes in my closet.
That's like ultra tight, like kind of
I just never wear.
That's so funny.
Because it's perfect for camera, but it's like really like it's not fun.
Uncomfortable otherwise.
I mean, it's like it hugs my body.
Yeah.
So it looks great on camera.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Terrible to wear.
That's really funny.
But it's funny because now that like all the seasons have gone through, like I have a full closet.
But just like blown away clothes.
Yes, but now that I'm not doing it anymore, I am now like, oh man, now I need to like go shopping again. It's terrible.
Yeah, they kept you going for like a couple years.
Yeah.
So.
Another fun fact is, season 1, I spent 6 weeks in a hotel.
Oh, cool.
So the whole thing happened in a hotel for me. I learned later that like sometimes you can do like Airbnbs, which I did.
Oh, okay.
But the season 1 was all in one hotel. Now there's pros and cons.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that nice?
Pro?
Yeah.
You can get food any time of day.
Yeah, I was gonna say that would be my biggest pro. I feel like
3 a.m, you can call and be like, I want chicken.
That's not. Is that paid for? Is that?
Oh, we had stipends. Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
It was great. Downside
that's
is
the treatment.
Downside.
Yeah.
In Canada, right? Much like in America, we have like the children do the soccer teams. Their thing is like hockey, right?
Yeah.
So they have like kids hockey tournaments. So sometimes like my call time would be like 6 a.m. and my whole floor was like kids hockey parents.
Oh.
That'd be up till like 12. So your neighbors are always changing. So it was just a roll of the dice. Is it going to be noisy? Is it not? Doors slamming.
It's rough.
People drinking, having
like the
fun.
people aspect of it.
Dude, like I was, to be honest, super stoked to not be in the hotel the rest of the seasons. Yeah.
I guess so. After that, like initial sort of season 1, the first couple episodes, did you feel integrated into that like glassblowing community?
I felt super accepted right away.
Yeah.
So I feel like the glassblowing community and the skating community were very similar.
Cool.
In the sense that there was like a lot of it revolved around art. And it's not like a black sheep, but it's just like not like painting, right? And then there's like sculpting and then like glasses over here. It's the same thing with like skating. It was like, traditional sports and skating was like its own culture thing.
They like live on opposite sides of their like specific spectrums. Like they're like their own sort of subset.
And for that reason, I felt like there was a good mash right away.
Yeah.
And the glass community was ultra accepting and like very open.
Cool.
So when it wrapped, no one knew what it was going to be about.
Yeah.
So the Corning Museum of Glass, I definitely reached out and they were so like receptive and friendly and I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like I feel like I'm a part of this thing now.
Yeah, definitely.
When it actually came out, then I got integrated even in LA.
Yeah, totally.
Joe Cariotti studio, like they did an opening party. They did like a release party.
Yeah.
And I literally was just like I'm in, dude.
Yeah, you were in this.
This is like people. It was so crazy how positively it was received.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So after season 1, I was like, dude, I was stoked.
Yeah, you were like ready for season 2.
Yeah, it was sick.
So you finished season 1 at a high.
Yes.
You were integrated into the glassblowing community.
Yep.
You were on Netflix. Everything was positively received. Where were you at for like season 2 announcement? Like, did you know right away you were doing season 2?
So the way that it works with any like season 1, season 2, when there's multiple series or whatever, the big thing happens when there is a season 2.
Cool.
Because a lot of shows don't get a season 2.
Yeah.
So the momentum is built if there is a season 2, and if there's not a season 2, then obviously there's no more, right? It just dies.
Yeah.
It's just that a lot of shows die season 1.
Totally.
So the fact that there was like all this time in between and no one knew was like kind of nerve wracking.
Yeah.
And then there was this announcement that like. But it wasn't an announcement. It was a big one. It was kind of like, yes, there's feelers. Yes, it's positive, but there's no like official thing.
Yeah.
It was like really far down the line before they were like, okay, yes, we're going to do season 2. So it was like, whoa, like we felt like we rushed it again. There was a lot of time in between where no one knew anything.
Okay.
So there's a lot of time that we were just back on YouTube production.
Yeah.
And so we were going hard on YouTube, right? Because now we're kind of the winds at our back, right?
Yeah.
This Netflix thing is happening. We have Glass Studios that are allowing us to make content. Like, it's just going really well.
Yeah.
And then we start working with David Dobrik. And this is really good because this is like any video that we do is getting views.
Yeah.
This is also the rise of TikTok era. And so I had lived through the beginning of YouTube, right? And so I then saw a lot of what was happening on TikTok as the same thing that was happening pre-monetization on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So I over-indexed my time and effort on TikTok and it totally paid off. We did this experiment with David Dobrik, and it went super viral. 31 million views on YouTube.
Totally.
266 million views on TikTok.
Yeah, crazy.
We got up to 7.2 million followers on TikTok. So we we rode a wave with Netflix, and then we rode this huge wave in that year in between.
Yeah.
This is like 2019, edge of 2020.
Did you see like an uptick in following across platform after Blown Away?
No.
That's
so
interesting.
it's interesting. Actually, there was no following coming over from basically because like if I were a glass blower or like all my content was glass, like probably.
Yeah, but that was like you had these like glass blowing fans essentially.
But also like my role as the host is literally to set the show up.
Yeah.
And it's more of a formality. Like the host is there to basically be like, hey, like these things are happening now. So
it's not just you're thrown into this thing and there's no explanation.
The show is not about me. In fact, you're doing your job if the show is not about you.
Yes.
If the show is about you, you're not doing your job.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
As a host,
it's not supposed to be about the host.
It's supposed to be about the contestants.
Definitely.
And it's about them and their work and like, Catherine in essence she's the judge and she's also the specialist. So like, they're the expert, and so there is that sort of that dialogue between them and the contestants. But really, the show is about the contestants. It's always about the contestants, and it should be.
Yeah.
The host, if you're doing a good job, is like you should kind of remember them, but like not be super invested. They should just kind of hopefully not be annoying.
So to that exact point, you had done season 1, you had that experience. Going into season 2, did you want more involvement in like the story and production and all that kind of stuff?
Yes. So what happened with this is like. We round out season 1, and I'm very confident with how that worked because now there's this announcement we're getting season 2.
Yeah.
So I had signed a 3-year contract.
Yeah.
So the contract basically sets in place like how much you're going to get paid. Like there's no wiggle room. It's like you're like, I'm going to do it for 3 seasons. Here's the pay bump. Like here's your role, obligation, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, but on the announcement of season 2, I was so excited. I like went back to the production company. I like offered them like all this, like, dude, we could do like TikTok videos and we could do YouTube videos because like I was like so excited to like launch further into this project.
And you were already like at such a peak in like the elephant toothpaste thing with David Dobrik. Yeah. You had done all of this stuff digitally, so it was like let's marry those things. Like, let's do this.
Because I was like, look, like we could even take like off days in the hot shop and we could do digital content in between.
Yeah, totally.
So like I tried to negotiate like, hey, like maybe we could make this a branded deal. I'm here for 6 weeks. Yeah. I need content. You guys need promotion. Like we could do all these things. And I pitched it and like they just were like
they were not
interested at all. So then there was one key moment where I asked if I could be no more money, but if I could get the title producer.
Yeah.
The reason why I wanted that was because like I was like, this would really help me if I wanted to do my own shows later, long form.
To have that producer
cred.
That cred.
That was all. They also said no to that. So I was like, man, like I'm like trying to get in to this like also ultra exclusive club, and they're just like, nah, dude, like you do your thing.
Yeah.
And so I like honestly like I'll be honest, like my feelings were hurt. But it was also like kind of arrogant in this moment.
Yeah.
Because I was ultra high on one thing.
Yeah.
This is a life lesson I learned. I learned it in this moment, which was this was their production. They brought me on.
Yeah.
And so at the time, I was like just so eager and wanting to do more work and like ride this wave like more and more and more.
Yeah.
But this really like wasn't my project. Like I was hired to be a host and I had a role and a contract, but I just was like, I was like too bullish.
You were in the momentum.
Dude, honestly, I was ultra arrogant to be like, you need this.
Yeah.
And they were like, no.
Yeah.
And I was kind of mad about that.
Yeah.
Straight up, I was mad. And so I went into season 2 with a chip on my shoulder. I went in with like, oh, you don't want this?
Yeah.
260 million view video.
Yeah.
So I basically went in being like, fine, I'll just do what you want me to do.
Yeah.
And I probably went in, I definitely went in with way too much of that attitude.
Yeah.
It was palpable. Bro, like, it was obvious.
It was very different from season 1.
Very different from season 1.
Okay.
Because I was like, but also at the same time, in my own defense, I was also managing a lot of things in my own personal career.
Yeah.
So to manage both of them at the same time, they basically said, like, we just want you to host. So great. That'll give me then time. Like, I'm not going to do as much work as I did season 1.
Yeah.
Because I did probably more than what my contract had asked me to do.
Yeah.
and I over-index on being like, hey, I'll do whatever, right? Because I was so excited. So I was like, fine, like, then I'm just going to carve out what I'm required to do, and I'm going to use the rest of that time to do social media stuff back in my Airbnb.
Yeah.
Because at the time, my team was really small, and I was editing my own videos.
Yeah.
So I was like shooting TikToks, editing my own stuff, and I was doing this all on my own while shooting a Netflix show.
You're working 2 jobs, like back to back, and they were both huge.
And I was trying to do both, right? Because we literally... At that point in time, I was at the peak of my career in digital.
Yeah.
Like the highest numbers I'd ever seen. The expansion of the portfolio was like on a 6, 7x type, you know.
Yeah.
We weren't even 1 million subscribers yet on YouTube, and we had 7 on TikTok.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So like we just were like, there was so much happening all at once. So I was really trying to time management. And so I probably came across, I'm for sure I did. I came across like really like stark and being like, well, then I'm just going to be the host guy, right? I'm just going to say do whatever you tell me to do.
Yeah.
And so, like, I got across the finish line, but it was like, it was tough. Yeah. Now, I tried to also because I always wanted to be there present for the contestants.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be present for the audience too.
Totally.
I never sacrificed, like, my performance. So while like I did specifically like make sure that like I wasn't doing anything behind the scenes that wasn't a part of what I was asked to do.
Yeah.
I was very specific to make sure that everyone's experience
was still great.
Yeah. Because of the empathy I had as a contestant. And by the way, on my experience on AGT, I had Seal, right?
Yeah.
Who felt like he did not care about me at all.
Yes, yeah.
And that felt terrible.
Yeah.
So I like also remembered like the host can have such an impact on the contestants like job or like their experience there that like I definitely was not willing to like risk that part of it. So I think the performance wise, truthfully, was just as adequate, just as good.
Same as season 1.
So season 2 was also a time frame where they were trying to do new things.
Yeah.
Because it was now a new director.
Yeah.
So sorry, it wasn't a new director, it was a new producer.
Okay.
So because the creative team had changed a bit, it was like things were seamless on the first season.
Yeah.
Because we crafted it together.
Totally.
So I anticipated on doing it again the same way, but now there were changes.
Yeah.
So I was trying to weirdly like bring in the old. I'm like, yeah, but like we did it this way last time.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to feel like I was educating somebody, but at the same time I was kind of like, hey, but we got a season 2, so maybe we should do it that way.
Yeah, totally.
That was sort of my like inclination. So there was a lot of friction between the creative teams and what I thought was working.
Yeah.
So season 2. Brutal.
So season 2 ends. What year is that?
So season 2 ends like February-ish, 2020.
And nothing weird was going on.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
February 2020.
Right.
March
So
2020.
like March. So I remember this. The whole all the way through filming. There's this grumblings of like, there's this virus that's like going across the world. It's like, it's in China right now. And we're like, who cares? We're in North America, right?
Yes.
It's similar to there was a bird flu that never got out of China, right?
Yeah.
Or supposedly, right?
Yeah.
like it never made its way to the news, so no one really cared. So I was like, whatever. I've heard this before. 2000, it was like 2003. There was an avian bird flu. It was a big thing and didn't go anywhere. So I was like, whatever, it's not going to matter. So then it just kept picking up steam, and I was just like, I got other problems, right? Like, I got this YouTube thing going on. I'm trying not to get fired right now. Like, you know, it's rough on set right now.
Yes.
And so I wasn't paying attention. At the end, they were like, hey, good thing that we just did the finale because the Canadian border to America is going to close in 2 days. And I was like, what?
Yeah,
like, bro, this is getting, like, serious.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, you need to pack.
You just wrapped.
Bro, we had just wrapped.
Crazy.
2 days, COVID starts. Like proper COVID, the border to Canada closes. Damn. I'm in Ohio. I go back to visit my dad, and it's COVID now.
Damn.
It's hardcore COVID time. And I was just like, wow. Like we barely escaped that whole thing.
Yeah, crazy.
So season 2, in summary, season 2 was rough. I made a lot of mistakes. Mm-hmm. I think I came across as arrogant. I definitely was arrogant. But like it came at an angle from really wanting to make sure that the product was good. Yeah. But also so that we could get a season 3. But also, and 2 on top of that was like my eagerness to participate in creative, and it was denied. But I learned that when it's not your production, it is not your production.
So COVID is happening, and then they announce a Christmas special?
Yeah, so it's really like they go through post, right? So this whole post-production process, right? And that goes on for a long time. And so there was this long time frame where and I don't know this schematics of this, but like there was going to be a Christmas special because season 1 had done so well, I guess. And so they were very excited for season 2. And so I'd already committed earlier in the year for doing a holiday special for Discovery Channel called Rocket Around the Christmas Tree. And so there wasn't supposed to be an overlap at all.
Yeah.
But then there just so happened to be once the Christmas special got pushed around a bunch.
Yeah.
Because it was past Christmas already.
Yeah.
And so that got pushed around a bunch. And so I said no to that special for Blown Away, but I really wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Because I'd already said yes, and then it separated, and then I could have done it.
Yeah.
And then I did, and they'd already chosen a new host.
Yeah.
Which is Bobby Burke. And so I was just like, because they made such a stink. And I was so sad, and I was just like, this is just so bad. This is
so frustrating.
Not going in my favor, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, it was by the end of the Christmas special, I felt I had super high FOMO.
Yeah.
And then also felt like I was like, I might not, this may be it.
So then going into season 3.
Season 3 was the redemption phase.
All right,
so
nice.
So the executive team over at Marble Media, right? That's the company that puts it together.
Yeah.
I think they had it with me, right? They were probably thinking, hey, dude, we could probably just get someone else, and they could probably do just as good a job, and they will be way easier to work with.
Yeah.
And I would agree with them.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I were them, I would have been like, yeah, we're just gonna get away with this. We're gonna say la vie, bro.
That's so funny.
And so, I came back and just ate a ton of humble pie, bro. Put my foot right in my mouth, and I said I was sorry. I said, hey, look, I totally came at this the wrong way, business professional wise, but also hopefully it didn't come across in that season, because I the last thing I would ever want to do from being in the perspective of the contestants would ever to be to give someone a bad delivery, or to not participate, which I don't think I did at all, right? I really showed up.
Yeah.
So there was this big we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see, Damn. And I was like, oh shit, man, that's it.
Yeah.
And so they I don't know if reluctantly is the right word, I'm just guessing for them, but they said, okay, look, your contract went for 3 seasons, so we'll bring you back. But I was actually ultra surprised that they brought me back.
Interesting.
I was actually really shocked. So the way things were working in the media world too, for me on the YouTube side of the equation, things were going so well. Financially, had more money than I'd ever had. I'd hired some people on. The company was becoming a lot more self-sufficient.
Yeah.
I did not have the burden that I did season 2.
Yeah.
I was definitely not going to be editing my own YouTube videos while shooting a Netflix show. I just got in a pinch, right?
Yeah.
And so you don't, because the problem actually in media is you never know when things are going to happen.
Yeah.
And they just happen, and they're just now I'm unprepared.
Yeah.
So.
But you were more prepared this time.
So prepared.
Yeah.
And so I went into season 3 like an angel.
Yeah.
Nick, you need to say it this way. I'll say it that way.
Yeah.
We need you to say it for the 17th time. Done. I literally, I did anything, everything, because I knew that I was if there is a season 4, I would definitely want to be a part of it. So hopefully they take this as my peace offering.
Yeah, totally.
And I just was the ultimate angel.
Perfect.
I just did everything I could. And I participated in a way too that I felt was fair. Meaning I didn't over participate in an area they didn't ask me to, but if they asked me to, I definitely did it.
Yeah.
And it was the same creative team, so I was
you're familiar.
I was familiar, so I was man, hopefully this goes well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. So, that's season 3.
So season 3 wraps. And how are you feeling?
Wraps. I felt really good.
Yeah.
I also felt I had done 3 seasons of a show, the same show.
Yeah.
And so in a lot of ways, I was I felt I got a lot of what I wanted and needed out of that participation of the show.
Yeah.
Right. And so I wasn't in any way, I was not oh, like I'm good. I was like, but I felt very fulfilled.
Totally.
In doing the show for 3 seasons.
Because like, did that involvement in your like integration into the Glass One community, did that continue to sort of like increase in frequency as you were moving through the seasons?
So like as the seasons went, the depth in which I got involved in the Glass community kept going.
Yeah, definitely.
And that just felt so good.
Yeah.
Because now I felt like I wasn't just a host or anything. Like I felt like I was really like a part of something.
Totally.
And now even in LA, like we are. Like in fact, some of our most viral videos on our channels are Glass.
Yeah.
And so now we've like fully integrated Glass into our content production.
Totally.
And we've done experiments, we've done wacky stuff, we've done satisfying stuff. I mean, like Glass is now just a medium that I'm more comfortable now in a hot shop than I am like, just a regular studio because I've spent so much time in a hot shop. So like,
totally.
I really enjoy being in the hot shop now. Like the experience gave me something I didn't have before.
Yeah.
And so now I feel like very natural and like I can point at things.
Yeah,
and like, I can tell you, and oh, he's gonna do this with this tool.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Like, I've just learned so much, and so it's been really cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So season 4 is announced, and you are aware, or what's the situation?
So yeah, like this was a tough pill to swallow. So things are like I haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
We know season 4 is being greenlit because the way that I learn that there's a season 4 is that I see it on Instagram from the account, and it says casting for season 4. So I'm like, oh, well, this is like the first I've ever heard of it. Yeah. And I was like, that's not a good sign. Like you don't want to be, you're hoping for. You do not want to be that far out on the announcement, because if you are, that is like that's a canary in the mine. That's like not good. So I then reach out to Catherine Gray. Hey, have you heard anything? She's like, we've been talking. Oh no, like they've been talking. I reach out then to like the wardrobe people and like I reach out to Clay and like it's like, oh, it sounds like everything is happening, but not with me. So then I reach out directly to the team, like, hey, like what's up? Is this happening? And it was kind of like, hey, like maybe like we'll see, like pretty much like no, but like there's a chance. And I was like, oh man, like dude, all through my like times working as like an actor and a host and all this, like anytime that there is like loose footing on it, it's like it always feels like your boat is sinking and you're just now on it and you're just like, all right, bro, this is it. Like it's like where the violin plays, Yeah. Like, all right, like let's just do it. So I remember there was this. I still have the photo on my phone where like because it was kind of a roller coaster. They were like, yeah, maybe. So I was like, got really hopeful about it. Okay. And then I was like, well, I'm down. Well, let's go. And then they were like, and no, and like, but hold on, I said they never say no. They always say we're going in a different direction. Those words in entertainment, by the way, if you ever hear that, that is the ultimate case closed. Yeah. We're going in a different direction. There's no recovery. Yeah. There's no CPR. Yeah. Like the body is cold. If they say we are going in a different direction. So I got that email and I was like, that's it. Like I it was such like it felt like a passing of a relative. I was like, damn, like we went through such this thing where like I was like so excited, like life high, and then like ultra bitter, like I got dumped, and then like back for the reunion, and then like slammed to nothing. And so there was this photo where I'm wearing this TikTok hoodie and I have it and I'm just head down and I'm just letting the sun warm up my back and I'm just sitting out in my front yard. And I just remember being like it was like mourning like a loss and just being like, ugh, like this is what it feels like to like have lost that opportunity. And it was like I only have myself to blame to go up and down like that. Yeah. Because it's like had I not done that season 2, like probably wouldn't have been a question. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, you know, I chose every path. Yeah. And I can only sit in my own decisions.
So if you could go back and do it again?
If I could go back and do it again, season 2, I would have done totally different. Okay. I would have gone in there. Like, I don't have a mentor, like a lot, and a lot of people in entertainment don't. Yeah. I mean, you are blazing your own trail. Yeah. You can reach out to people, but everyone's just trying to get their own job. You know what I mean? And like,
totally.
A lot of people move out here from somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
Like I moved out from Ohio, so did you.
Yeah.
I don't have like a rich uncle. I don't have like someone who's like done it before.
Yeah, that can
even
help
my
you
own
through it.
management team, like, you know, they have people, but every production is so different.
Yeah.
So I don't have like a mentor that would be like, hey, dude, like whatever you
do not do this
do
stuff.
not do
Yeah.
that.
So
I was
on it. Yeah.
I was in there all bullheaded.
It's a hard trap to fall in because I think that it's very easy to be drawn into this mindset that you need to make stuff happen for yourself.
Yes.
And like, I think that just as easily as them saying no, they could have been like, actually, we want to make a giant TikTok account and we want you to be the host of it. We want you to integrate your own account and we want you to post on Instagram. And then you would have been like,
right,
boom. Like it would have made sense. But also like whatever powers were at play, they were like, that's not what we're doing. And so in turn, that didn't happen and it caused this whole sort of like snowball.
That's a great way of putting it. Honestly, up to this very point, I never thought about the alternative reality of
well, because it's interesting because it's you ask from a place, I think, of like, at least the way that I'd be thinking about it is like, what's the harm in asking? Because if it comes through, then you've got this amazing opportunity.
100%. And you're right in the sense of in entertainment, like no one is there to help you.
Yeah.
Like, it's
you're your own best They were never going to come to you and say, hey,
right,
do all this extra work and social media stuff.
Yep.
We want you to do this. You were always going to have to present it, and then they'd have to be like, yeah, that would be great.
Because in entertainment, it's like the freelance empire, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're always just trying to get ahead.
Yeah.
And then at any point in time, you can just be done.
Totally.
Like you can exit and then immediately be replaced.
Definitely.
In entertainment. So it's like if you're not pushing, then it just so like I do want to end on this though is that this experience of Blown Away though, like let's consider this just like an absolute major win.
Yeah.
Right? Because yes, did I make mistakes? Yeah. But like the thing about it is like I learned from those mistakes.
Totally.
And so what I think is the natural evolution from here is in fact getting back to what I wanted to do season 2, which was being a producer, being a creative while being a host, and being on some type of long form content that we are developing and actually hosting and creating a product for long form streaming.
Yeah.
And so I think that is in fact the next step.
Yeah.
I have been a part of pilots.
Yeah.
I've done a pilot with Discovery Channel.
Yeah.
So like we're in that like world.
That development phase. Yeah. We're like and that was like a stepping stone into that next
exactly
phase. Yeah.
And now I can fully say that I can absolutely host a show for 3 seasons.
Totally.
Like there's no question about it, right?
Yeah.
So hosting a show for linear now feels exactly like what season 1 felt like. Right?
Yeah.
Which is like, oh, I feel like I've done 3/4. I just need to close the loop.
Yes.
Now I'm kind of like, whoa, well, I've already hosted a Netflix show.
Yeah.
Now all I gotta do is close the loop.
Yeah.
Right?
Again.
Like just be the creative dude and like create the actual thing. So I honestly think that's the next step. And so Blown Away for me was still like a tremendous career win.
Totally.
And just honestly to be part of the Glass community is also just like, that's like a part of my life now.
That's great.
Yeah.
No, that was perfect.
So that's why
the story.
That's why I didn't host season 4.